So Python is a fairly useful scripting language, but as for the Python shell, I've never really been able to find a use for it. That is until I was playing around with some shell scripting and I came across a cool option that comes with it. So let's have a look. Good afternoon everyone and welcome back to the channel. So if you've never run Python from the terminal before, basically if you just run the Python command, this will bring up a little interpreter. So you can do any normal Python stuff. So if you want to do maths with it, you can. Fairly simple. You can even do multiple commands at once. So if you separate them with semicolons, the one time in Python you actually have to use semicolons, you can do an import, for example, and then say random.randint. Say 1 to 1000, for example, and basically, yeah, you can just run this, it'll print out a random number. So that in itself, not too useful. Everyone knows that you can do that with Python, but what happens if we merge that with my favorite program known as dmenu? So, say if I want to just bring up a prompt and do some basic calculations. Let's say I want to do, let's go 15 times 28, for example. Look at that. I didn't say it was going to be very useful. I just said it was going to be slightly. So we can even print out strings in here. So if we go hello plus world. Once again, it didn't say very useful. So let's have a look at how I'm doing this. So if I go to my scripts folder, as always, all my scripts are available on my GitHub, which is in the description below, and also in the end card. So what did I call the script? I don't even remember. PyShell, right. Okay. So, as always, because dmenu can't be opened without having something in its prompt, we echo in nothing, and that's why you get this blue square here. That is basically just saying you have the empty string. So yeah, basically that's just to get dmenu to open. I know there are other dialog applications I could use, but I have dmenu installed and I like dmenu, so we're using dmenu. Anyway, so we pipe that into dmenu-i, which just means it's case insensitive. I actually don't need that here because I'm not matching anything, so I could just remove that. I just left it in there for pretty much no reason. So -p is what you use to set the actual prompt text. So that's how we set Python up here. And we pipe whatever the result from dmenu is into xargs. So when you run dmenu, pretty much whatever you type in that box, even if it's not one of the values that is in the prompt, gets printed out into standard out. So because of that, we can pipe that into xargs. And you'll see here, we actually have a different argument in xargs. First, I'll explain the normal usage, which everyone's probably seen before. So xargs-i, and then you give it a value. So basically what this lets you do is it will take whatever was passed into xargs, and wherever you put this symbol is where it will put it in the output. So if we run Python with the -c command, that lets you run the Python interpreter, or Python shell. I'm not sure what the correct term there would be. I'm just going to go with Python shell. It lets you run the Python shell with a single command, and then it just quits out of it. So I'm importing random just because I occasionally want to use random numbers in there. So we can actually do random.rand int 1 to 1000 if I really wanted to. There's no reason for that. I just felt like doing that. So it will basically, whatever you write into dmenu, it puts it into this print statement because it doesn't automatically print out like the standard interpreter does, which is fine. So this -0 command here, you may not have seen this one before. Basically what this lets you do is, by default, xargs will strip out quotation marks because it uses them as a delimiter. But we don't want that because that's annoying. Because if we do that, then if we pass in hello world, it will pass that in without quotation marks, and it won't treat it as a proper string. But we want it as a string, just in case. So I've just left that in just in case I want to do string manipulation stuff in there. I don't really think I'm ever going to, but it's there anyway. So we pipe whatever the result from Python is. So it'll print out a value. So if we do some math, say 10 times 10, it will print out 100. That gets piped into another xargs where we do the same -i %, and we pass that to notify send. So notify send, if you haven't used it before, basically what this lets you do is open up a simple notification. The notification depends on what daemon you're running. A lot of desktop managers come with their own. With i3, you don't actually have one by default. I can't remember what one I'm using. It's one of the minimalist ones. You probably would recognize it if you've actually used it before. But what we do with this is we pass the result from the pipe into the second argument. So the first argument is the little notification text up the top that basically just tells you what sort of notification it is. And then we pass this in as the bottom part of it. So I'm pretty much just going to use this as a calculator because I don't have a calculator app installed. At least I don't think I do. But if I can do just basic calculations, because that's pretty much all I want to do. Say I'm working at my supermarket and I want to know how much I've made this week before my paycheck comes out. I can just be like, oh, so this is the hours I worked times by my pay rate, and that's how much I made, roughly, if not accounting for tax. But pretty much all I'm going to use this for is as a calculator. Now, I never said that this was going to be exceptionally useful. All I said was that this gives the Python shell a use. So, if you're not happy with my use for it, I don't particularly care. It's a use, and that's more than it had before. Before it was just sitting there doing nothing. Like, does anyone actually have a productive use for the Python shell? I can't think of one myself. So I think that's pretty much everything for this video. If you like this video, remember to like and subscribe and hit the little bell icon below if you want to see more from my channel. Leave a comment if you, I don't know, think the Python shell is great and you think I'm a horrible person for not liking it. And if you think your friends will like this video, share it with them as well. So I think that is pretty much everything for me, and I'm out.